Hi, I'm Lisa Leiter. In Chicago Business Today, corporate Chicago's Euro crisis. American companies could soon be feeling the fallout from the financial crisis in Europe. Some Chicago area firms are particularly vulnerable to government and consumer spending cuts on the continent. Sales at food makers like Kraft and Sara Lee and even McDonald's may suffer if Europeans are looking to save money at the grocery store and in restaurants. A weaker euro will cut into the bottom line of every American company that does business in Europe. But for the big multinationals, it will create an economic double whammy.
There are two major impacts. The first is a problem of export. When you are producing goods in the United States and you are shipping to Europe, those goods are becoming more expensive. And that means that the demand is going to be weaker and your revenues are going to be affected. The second one is a hit on profits because many companies has operations in the United States, in Europe, and they distribute through the local channels. And those profits, once transferred back to the United States, are going to be much less.
Local companies like Boeing, Motorola, and Fortune Brands do hundreds of millions of dollars worth of sales in Europe annually. Kraft, though, gets about a quarter of its sales from Europe, increasing its presence by buying Cadbury this year and Groupe Danone's biscuit business in 2007. And Europe has accounted for much of McDonald's sales growth, $9 billion last year alone, about 40% of total revenue. McDonald's tells Crain's there are significant long-term growth opportunities in Europe. And UIC professor Alan Malter says the company and others in a similar position should seize them.
It also means they have 60% of their worldwide sales outside of Europe, which their local competitors in Europe might not have. So they actually have an opportunity. They have some strength still to make a longer-term move in Europe, maybe to expand their channels of distribution, maybe to grab some market share. And so a relatively strong company could actually take advantage of this environment and make some progress for longer-term prospects.
European governments burdened with deficits will most likely trim spending on healthcare, cutting into the profits of companies like Abbott Labs and Baxter International. Abbott would not comment to Crain's. Baxter says Europe's woes are not expected to affect its annual earnings forecast. And U.S. technology companies like Motorola also may take a hit, as Europeans won't have as much disposable income to spend on the latest gadgets. Malter says Chicago companies should adopt value-oriented strategies.
Consumer budgets are going to be tight, and when governments implement austerity measures, they're implementing them on the backs of public sector workers, and the backs of government workers, teachers, etc. And those people have to feed their families, and they're going to have less money to do that with. So again, all the lessons we've learned here in the recession in the United States can certainly be applied to slow economic or even negative economic growth overseas.
And that's this edition of Chicago Business Today. For more on this story, be sure to check out this week's print edition of Crain's or chicagobusiness.com, where you can find all of your breaking news. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.